Hi, all listeners.
Ray.
Welcome to the show. I am the overly talkative Jason Tudor along with Keith Pinnell. It is This Show is a JK, episode number 45, which I've tentatively titled Dr. Feelgood. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. But Keith and I have a lot to talk about this week. It was a busy day for you, wasn't it?
It was. For those that may watch after we're done recording or whatever, watch later in the week, whatever. The reason we started this podcast is Jason and I worked together. We were standing in the office in the middle of, I was on telework back in April, and we're just talking, bullshitting in the office.
Pretty much.
And he said, you know what, we should do a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there and go, okay. And that's basically how it started. So we could tell our friends back in America, because we had only been here, 6 months?
Right.
In Germany when COVID hit.
Right.
So we could tell our friend, discuss it amongst ourselves, catharsis.
Talk amongst yourselves.
And tell each other, or tell our friends back in the States, because COVID hadn't really hit the States yet.
1 2 1 2.
Oh, you got the snowball mic going.
I do, because it picks up a little better than my other one, and but it's supposed to be a little loud. It's not being as loud as it needs to be, so I'm sitting here holding it like a dork. Maybe I'll put it on. Keep talking.
I had to do that too. Grab a book or two.
I'm gonna.
We were also wanting to tell our friends back in the States, because COVID hadn't hit there yet, what we were dealing with here. Well, here we are, was it 9 months? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 8 months later.
We're far along.
And we're back in April. What goes around comes around. Germany has gone
we're back to March, April.
Lockdown.
But at least Germany's doing something. At least Germany is said, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're going to do it. And it's not like there's 3,000 people dying a day, although it did have its largest record number of people who died. So that's scary. But yeah, I agree with you. At least
what was it? Saturday, I think they had 30,000 new cases and over 3,000 deaths.
Right.
But hey, it's a hoax.
Hey, if you're online,
sure all those people had prior conditions. Go ahead. Sorry.
If you're online with us, check in on the message board. Say hi. Ray's already said hello. I'm guessing PJ's probably still at work since it's 2:10. 2:10. I said 2:10 like I'm a dork. That was smart. All right,
let it go because I'm done editing for the day.
I asked Keith what he was going to talk about today. He said, so here's what we have. This is the preview of the show. COVID movies I watched over the weekend. I hope none of it. We need to talk about. I was going to make a Pornhub joke, but we actually should make a joke about, or we should talk about Pornhub if you don't know that story. Charlie Pride and Tiny Lester, weather, football, and then I said Indiana Jones 5. All the Disney release stuff is crazy. The Dr. Joe Biden controversy and Army Navy football recap. That is a full, however long we choose to go tonight.
I Joe Biden, I've seen memes, but I don't know the story, so I'm looking forward to that. So,
COVID. Let's go back to COVID. You were doing a fine job, and then, of course, I talked too much. So go ahead.
So Germany went into full lockdown. Not quite as stringent as it was in April, but very, very close. Basically, they said you cannot have more than 5 people in your house except for immediate family.
Right.
So if you have somebody else come over, you cannot have 5 people unless they're 14 and younger. That's the age bracket. If they're 15 and above, they count as an adult and count against that number.
Right.
Now, they will lessen that requirement from the 23rd to the 26th.
Right, which is odd. I guess because
because Germany
because Jesus is watching over for those 3 or 4 days, and it'll be okay. No COVID during those days.
Germany has, and I just found this out from our host nation, the wonderful Petra, that I didn't know Germany had 3 Christmas days, really. You have Christmas Day.
Yep.
You have the next day where you go see one part of the family.
Which is called Boxing Day in England, I believe.
Canada, yes. And then you have the third day where you go see the other part of the family.
Right.
And then, the 27th, the 27th is a normal day.
Right.
Most people take the rest of that week off if it's in the middle of the week.
Right.
So they're loosening the restriction on how many people you can have in your house for those 3 days. Otherwise, all retail stores are closed unless they sell food or medical supplies, car repair places.
Right.
There's a whole list of gas stations.
So it's kind of back to where we were in March, except not quite as stringent. And you had asked whether or not the AAFES PX was going to be closed, and my answer was maybe, because so the in Germany, stores of 8,000 square feet or more, 800 square meters, if you are Europeanish, are going to be closed. So but they're trying to find a loophole with the BX that says mission essential. So I guess they could, because they do sell some food and they do sell certain things like uniform items are for military people are mission essential. So
and they do have medicine and things like that in there.
Right. Yeah. I think they will, but this is all still in discussion, as it were, as we are. This is all still in discussion because of they haven't quite determined. So Germany sets the rule, right, Keith? And then the state, Rhineland-Pfalz is our state, then modifies, adds to, subtract. I don't think they can take away from. They will
not take away from that.
But they might add to. Right. And then the United States in general follows that template. And then as it needs to...
Careful how you say that. The United States military here in Germany follows that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay. And then we follow that template almost exactly with a couple of exceptions like to gyms and a couple of other things that are of a military nature that stay open. I think that's about right. So anyway, I think what we're trying to say in general is that we're back to March, April, not quite with the...
starting Wednesday.
Not quite with the everything's closed piece, but certainly for the people must stay home piece, because that's a big part of what's happening too, is almost everybody has to telework. I had to tell the two people who work for me today, hey, you got to go home, except for one of them. He does kind of if his job has something urgent that he needs to do, he comes in, does it, and then he has to leave. But in general, everybody goes home, right? So what's your situation? Will you be going home again as a someone who is at high risk, or will you be able to stay?
No, because this is a whole different story. Because I don't have a coworker in my office, in our 2-person office. Right. Because I don't have a coworker there. Yeah. It's okay that I come to work and I'm basically alone in my office and can do the job. Okay. So I'll be going to work. Luckily, I did today. Today was supposed to be a telework day for me. Right. Luckily, I went in, and because the boss, who is supposed to be teleworking with me, or at the same time I am, had a lot of appointments today. I don't want to get into that, but luckily I was there, and I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off today.
I like that your background tonight is a beachy background. That's very pleasant.
That's exactly where I want to be, man.
It's very pleasant right now.
It's calming.
What about the movie? What movies? Switching gears. What movies did you see this weekend?
Well, I started off with shows: The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm.
I'm all caught up on that now.
Yeah, good, and I'm really impressed. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Star Trek Discovery. But the movies I watched, this is my weekend. This is why I'm single, really. Hashtag why I'm single. John Wick 1 and 2. Hashtag
great films.
I wanted to watch.
Again, if you're watching, be sure to comment, say something in the comments on the show page, not on my page or Keith's page, on the show page, to let us know you're here, and we'll say hi. There's PJ signing in from work. Good job,
hey,
Peach. Good job, Peach. Okay, so
priorities.
Both John Wicks, good. I think the first is superior to the second, but I like both.
I know I've seen 3, but I went on Amazon Prime to watch 3 also on Sunday, and there's no option to rent. It was just buy this for $19.99. So
now you own it. You can watch it whenever you want.
I bought the 3-pack off Amazon for $24.99.
What's that line from Lethal Weapon? They fuck you at the drive-thru. They fuck you at the drive-thru. You had to buy the movie, so they fucked you at the drive-thru.
But at least I got all 3 for $5 more.
That's it. What else?
And then I watched, and I'm not I don't care what you have to say about this.
Oh, right on.
The Christmas season is kind of foiled for me by COVID because my daughter was supposed to be here for Christmas.
Right.
I did not put a tree up. I decorated the hell out of the office.
You did. It's fucking awesome, by the way. You did it last year too. I give you full credit for that. It's brilliantly done. Well done. Sorry you broke your OU ornament.
Yeah, but I've already got another one. So speaking of Amazon, I already got another one.
Right.
Not the same one, but anyway. So I'm determined to have some kind of Christmas spirit.
Yep.
So I watched the Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2. Have you watched those yet?
No, and it escapes my brain as to who is in that.
Kurt Russell, a couple of kids, blah blah blah.
Okay. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one. Everybody was telling me.
Who gives a fuck what I think, as long as you liked it?
Yeah, the second one I thought wasn't as good as the first, but they're good. I love Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. I'm telling you. There's another movie on, I can't remember if it's Prime or Netflix, called Fat Man, where...
Oh, that's Mel Gibson. I think it's Prime.
Yeah,
no, it's Netflix. It's Netflix. I got to watch that one.
To save Christmas, he has to join up with the military.
Did you watch it?
I don't know.
Is it out? No, is it out? Did you watch it?
Yeah, it's out. I just haven't watched it yet.
Oh, shit, I'll watch it. So my take this weekend was, I caught up on The Mandalorian, I think, last week. But then I caught up on, I didn't quite catch up. I watched 2 more seasons of Bosch.
You mentioned that. And
So I
got me interested in that.
Yeah, I climbed back into Bosch hard, and I went through seasons 3 and 4, and loved season 3. Loved it. Season 4 was great. And then I started season 5, and I got about half an episode in, and I'm like, this ain't that good. That's how fickle I can be, my friend. I like the character. I like most of the characters. And really, like, when I'm watching Bosch, all I want to do is see him solve a mystery. I could really give 2 shits, or not give 2 shits, about sort of these side stories and characters with the politics and everything else. They're semi-interesting. I really just want to Columbo my way through the episode. So that's what I did for most of season 4, was like, okay, blah, 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 politics. Here we go. Here he is solving crimes again. But compelling about, discovering, working on the murder of his mother. And again, it's so well written. Titus Welliver, fantastic actor. Love his stuff so far in Bosch. Really haven't seen much of anything else he's done. Like, I didn't see Deadwood. Didn't interest me that much, although I have friends who rave about it. He's been in
Deadwood. I love
according to the trivia that
I'm a big
read.
Timothy Olyphant fan.
According to if you're here, I see 5 people now. If you're in, please sign in on the message board. Let us know you're here so we can say hi. Didn't see Deadwood, although people love it. He's in all the Ben Affleck movies because I think he is a native Bostonian like Affleck is. And then he's done a few other. He's got some good credits on some other stuff. So it's not like he's out of nowhere, but to me he's out of nowhere, and I think he's great. So, and then the other 2 things we watched this weekend were I watched the last Star Wars movie, Return of Skywalker, and then started to watch Last Jedi, but we had guests and all this other stuff happened. So that's why we couldn't do it Sunday night, because our guests stayed over and we ended up playing Dreidel, and it ran much longer than I thought it would, but it was a lot of fun. It was very cool. So Hanukkah's been going very well.
Good.
Have you been looking at your phone? Who's texting you?
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Who you been texting? Who's talking to you? Are you getting like updates or what?
Nobody. I'm trying to see all the comments. I'm trying to see the comments.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not texting anybody.
I've actually got them on the screen here finally. So the comment thing is working for Facebook. So that is A-okay. So, and the stream is rock solid. This is a good night, my friend. This is a good night.
Good. It sounds good. So COVID, COVID is here to stay for a while.
Well, we got a vaccine. I was going over
it out on me. I'm sorry.
No, I said we've got a vaccine though.
We do.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this, and again, I'm talking again. Sorry, but in discussing COVID and thinking about how the vaccine can change things, wanted your perspective on this. So the vaccine starts to inoculate. That's a great word, by the way. I've always liked the word inoculate. We start to inoculate the countries that can get the vaccine. So we know England's got it, and Bill Gates is in control of that 94-year-old woman and that old thing. Haha, that's very funny. And then
Germany's going to have it soon.
The United States should have it like Thursday. And so, what about all these other countries though that don't have access to the vaccine? Are they still going to wear masks? Are they, what is it about their hospital capacity? And then when you think of it from kind of an asshole side of it, people are going to want to start traveling again because they've got the vaccine and I'm good. Now I'm coming to your country. What if the country's like, we're not prepared for you, brother. You need to hold off. Right. So it creates some interesting dynamics. Have you thought about that? What are your thoughts on that?
I have, and I've thought about it exactly the way you just said. Is I guess I was talking to my mom last night, Sunday night.
Yeah.
And man, I'm getting a lot of. What am I getting here? I don't know.
PJ said anyway, I need to turn your mic up, and I think I just did, so I think we're good.
Oh, that's what I'm hearing. Okay. Let me turn my speakers down. So I was talking to my mom last night about it, and you and I have talked about this before. We came over here not only to work, do the job, but to travel.
Right.
So if we can get a vaccine, if Europe can get a vaccine, not just Germany, that will open a lot of things up. But so number one, the vaccine in small numbers are going to healthcare workers. In fact, in a meeting I was in today, they said that they're not even getting enough of the first batch to inoculate all of the healthcare workers in our community.
Yep.
So it's going to take a while.
Oh, shit, I lost him. Where did you go?
When Germany gets all their people inoculated, allegedly, does Germany turn green? And,
like with envy?
So I can hear you. Yes, green with envy. That's exactly what I meant. Green like the Grinch. Yes. Does Germany turn green, but not let anybody else come in because no, France, Switzerland, Poland, you are not inoculated. Italy. Stay away.
Right.
You vampires. So
6
it'll
people.
Be interesting to
Numbers
see.
Are growing.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
And again, these meetings we're in, we get maybe a little bit more information than the normal soldier, the normal employee. It's still going to be a while before it gets down to people like Jason and I, as far as getting inoculations. I'm high risk. I have no problem taking it. I read a thing from the Mayo Clinic yesterday about myths with the vaccination.
Right. And
if the Mayo Clinic, the CDC, and the WHO, not the band, say it's good, I'm okay with it. Come on, I inject myself twice a day with something that was invented in 1926.
Right.
So I'm okay with getting the vaccination. I guess you have to get 2 vaccinations depending on which kind you get.
That's the scam. That's the scam, right? It's you can't just get 1. You got to get 2, and I'm sure they cost more. So, hey, Peach, I've done everything I can to boost Keith's sound a little bit. Sorry if you're not catching it as loud as it should be, but I've got all levels as high as they can go. So,
hey, Peach, there's a button on your phone. Push it up. It's called the volume.
Well, he says I'm fine, which is weird because last week my audio was a little lower and yours was actually in really good shape. So, oh well, life goes on. All right. So, all right, curiosity, and I think we should have this every week. Curiosity question of the week.
Killed the cat.
Curiosity. So I'll ask one each week. You'll ask one. So we'll rotate. So it's my week since I forgot the bracket, of course. What is your favorite thing to drink? Like, what do you, and if you, and Ray and PJ and whoever else is out there, tell us what your favorite thing is to drink. Like, would you like
alcoholic or just in general?
Just whatever. I don't care. Like, what is that water doesn't count, by the way. So if you want to be like, oh, but I'm a fitness buff and water. Okay, fine, whatever. But what is the thing that has a flavor that you like to drink? So just the first thing you're like, oh, I'll have a Diet Pepsi or
Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi, yeah.
Diet Pepsi. It's where I've got to go. Yeah, because again, and I
Ray
hate
says
to fall
beer
on a sword or I hate to fall on an insulin needle, but being diabetic, I can't go for a lot of the flavor of the month or whatever stuff. I like Diet Pepsi. Again, being in Germany, it tastes just a tad different than it does in the States.
Yeah, because it's got real fake sugar in it versus fake sugar in it.
Well, that's it. Yeah,
that's what it is.
So Diet Pepsi's my thing. About 6 months ago, 4 months ago, my diabetic doctor told me, drink more water. So I've been trying to drink more water. And so I've drank more water in the last 5-6 months than I have in my life, I think. But, I like, now I've become a water snob. When I go get it from the commissary, it has to be the Celtic water. That's just what I got.
Well, do you like the sparkling water or this flat water? Have you tried the sparkling water yet?
No. I cannot stand the fizzy water.
You'll like it.
It has to be the still water.
I promise you, by the time you leave, you will like sparkling water. I was where you were with my first time in Germany. Now that I'm here, I don't drink it regularly because that's not my favorite drink. But now that I've had it a few times and I understand its nature, I like it a lot. So I'm just warning you. I think you're going to end up... Although you're picky. You're pickier than I am, which is saying something. I was the pickiest human. Okay, so my favorite drink is by far Diet Coke, but I've tried to kick Diet Coke probably 5 times in the last 7 years. And in the times that I pick it up for, let's see. Moved from Germany to New York. Moved from New York to Augusta. Moved from Augusta to Germany. 3 more times that I've picked it up. So generally, I start stress drinking diet soda, and that's what happens. You're listening and watching This Show is a JK with talkative Jason Tudor and the wise and smart Keith Pinnell on the other side, who I thought of a good handle for you would be Parnell Powell, which combines the name that the dude gave you about a week ago with the name that the other dude gave you when we first were starting to get to know each other, which would also be a great name for a noir private detective. Parnell Powell. You'd have to have some cool nickname like Bud or Ace or something like that. Anyway, we are...
Good idea that I don't like at all.
That's right. We are back on regular audio shows at least once a week. So get that through iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Play Music, and all the other places where you pick up a good podcast. But the video is still on Facebook, but I sense a move to YouTube next week. We're moving to YouTube next week. Yeah, so we can...
You're the technical aspect.
So we can draw a few more... Yeah. So we can draw.
Tullamore What is
Scotch?
Tullamore
It's Scotch. It's Scotch.
Oh, that's Scotch.
Yeah, I think it's Irish whiskey, isn't it? Actually, I think it's Irish whiskey.
Really like.
I think it's Irish whiskey. Okay, so 2 things from my end to talk to you about. First is when I was 6/7 years old, I lived on Midway Island, and I don't really remember a hell of a lot about it. But today I was thinking about it for some reason, and I thought, I wonder if there's because the Navy does tour books when you go on a ship, right? I said, I wonder if there's a tour book from Midway Island on eBay that I could buy, right?
I know where you're going with this. Okay,
right.
Go ahead.
All right. So
I saw your post.
Right. And so I looked on eBay, and they didn't have a tour book, but they had a yearbook from my school, which was a combined elementary through high school, which Garmisch sort of had. They were elementary through 8. And then we sort of have one on Baumholder, which is 7 through 12. So close, but Midway was...
That's the way Wiesbaden was when I was here in the 1970s. It was
right.
Elementary and high school at just different ends of the building.
Midway's was, it's Midway Island. It's not even as big as... Yeah. It's not even as big as Ramstein Air Base. It's small. I mean, it's big enough for a runway and the hangar area and a little bit of land, and that's it. It's not even close, right? So anyway, I'm looking around, and I see a yearbook from 64. I see a yearbook from 78, 80, and then another one. But then I just typed in, all right, I'm going to type in the year with the yearbook, because I usually try to do vague searches, and then I usually hone in. So I type in 76, and boom, it comes up, and there's a PDF, and it's free. I'm like, holy shit. Because I don't remember a lot about this. It was there's three distinct things I remember. One, my parents used to get shit-faced every week on wine. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, it was a little cozy community, and they'd all get fucking smashed and hang out and do that. Second was I had a big 6th or 7th, I think it was 6th, birthday bash on the beach in the North Beach in this gazebo, and all these people came. Anyway, so I'm flipping through the yearbook. I don't recognize anything or anybody, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't remember what grade I was in either. I had no fucking idea. So I'm like, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just looking through each grade, obviously not high school. But I get down to 5th grade. I'm like, no, I think I was too young for that. 4th grade, no. 3rd grade, no. And then I start thinking, I had one of those moments where I was like, was I really actually on Midway Island? Or did I just hallucinate that whole thing? But it got to, they had a class 1st/2nd grade. And, There I was, like no shit. There I was, standing there, and I will show you, Keith, because you saw the photo. But I'm standing like this, right? And I have no idea what that pose was. Although I have some idea, I should say that. And my teacher was a woman named McElhaney, Jane McElhaney. I have no idea who that person is. And then, but the only thing that cued me to one thing that I remembered, and I was looking at photos today, and I didn't recognize any of that either. It was horrible. But the guy standing next to me was a guy named Stephen Fisher. And for some reason, I'm like, I remember that guy. I remember him being like a really good friend. But that's it. That's all I know. So anyway, I think what this pose was AFN, or whatever they called it back then, had a small broadcasting debt on the island. They did radio, I think, all day until midnight. And they did TV that started at 4 o'clock. And then it ended at midnight. So it was the classic. It would come on.
Tell me it was I Dream of Jeannie.
No.
Tell me it was.
No, it wasn't. It was. That's what everybody thought online, right? They thought that, but it was not I Dream of Jeannie. I did not go, no. What I think it was, so 4 o'clock to midnight, and then at midnight, it was like a movie theater. They play the national anthem, and then it would go off, and that was it. Right. And that always scared me a little bit, because it's like, oh, there's no more TV, right? So anyway, the 4 o'clock thing that came on every day was the Sinbad and the Seven Seas cartoon. And this cartoon was Sinbad would pull his belt, and lightning would come out of the belt, and this whole thing would happen, and he would get stronger to become almost like a hero. But I think at one point he goes like this before he pulls the belt, and then he pulls the belt. So it's almost like starting a lawnmower. He's like, right? And then he does this. So I think that's what it was, or I was just being a goofball, and I just did this thing because, whatever. So anyway, that was today's big adventure during my break anyway, so... Second thing is
a little
before we get
PTSD there.
Oh, why is that?
Good.
Sinbad?
Well, that's when I would get spankings. Yes, I got spankings. I know that's hard to imagine me being me today. But my dad would pull his belt out, and it would make that sound, pow, 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 as it came out from the belt loops, and
I'm with you.
Anytime I can make myself cringe when I do it. When I'm getting undressed.
As someone who was beaten with a belt on the front lawn of his house in San Diego, I'm with you, my brother. I am fully with you. All right, so the other thing is...
Ray said, y'all are keeping me company and entertained while I'm sitting in a parking lot. Why are you sitting in a parking lot?
What are you doing in the parking lot, Ray? Don't buy those drugs.
Don't. Say no.
Meth is bad, Ray. So the second thing I did was I installed a bunch of technology in my car, but we'll save that for another time. All right. So let's do the sadder thing in a minute. Let's talk about all the shit that Disney and Lucasfilm threw at us this weekend. Were you akin to that?
I kind of scrolled through everything. I know that there, and if I say a show, will I steal your thunder? I don't want to do that.
No, but hang on. So 7 people online. Again, if you're with us, comment in the comments on the show page. If you do it on our page or Keith's page, we won't see them. So comment on the show page. Let us know you're here.
Tom Taylor is watching us.
Hey, I know Tom from AFNews. Great dude. I love that guy. So you're saying, what was the show you wanted to spoil?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right, that's a biggie. What was the other one they previewed? New Star Wars cartoon, Bad Batch, that looks fantastic, and a few other things. But the one that caught my eye was they're going to do an Indiana Jones 5, which I sort of knew. But Harrison Ford will play Indiana Jones. It's contracted that it says he will be the only person to ever play Indiana Jones while he's alive. So, this could be interesting, because he is 78 years old.
Remind me to talk about a diehard connection to what you just said. But go ahead. Yeah, 78 years old. I mean, we all thought he was old in the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong.
I was like, I remember when it first came on. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ford.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I love Harrison Ford, but we all thought he was old back then. And what has that been? 10 years?
A shit ton of time. And the thing about that is, I remember it was like 10 minutes into the movie. I'm like, all I could think was, oh, he looks old. That's all I could think. That's it. And I thought, okay,
that's the point.
Here's what we need to pass the baton, right? Here's where we need to do some sort of changeover or whatever. But this will apparently be the last movie, so that makes me sad. But then the series they have coming out on Disney Plus. Shia LaBeouf. Running through the forest, Shia LaBeouf. I'll have to find that song and play that. Yes, Shia LaBeouf, I think, was rumored to be his sort of replacement as his pseudo son or actual son. But then Shia LaBeouf has basically imploded and done weird things with his career, as far as I know. So that didn't happen.
I'll take over the role. I'll be happy to take over the role.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, you'd be great. So the show that I'm looking forward to most is a show called Moon Knight, which they're developing into a series. I guess the thing that's really fascinating to me is they're just developing a shit ton of content. And
well, they want to fill up Disney Plus for one thing.
Which is not a bad idea, and the content that they're developing is all the things that you're like when I was growing up and reading comics and thinking of Star Wars is like you said, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a great idea. And a year and a half, 2 years ago, when they talked about when people were doing YouTube, cutting their own trailers together with Ewan McGregor footage and old, young. I mean, that was like, oh yeah, that's intriguing to me. It's all those things are being realized now. I think it's very cool. So.
That's
anyway,
awesome. Yeah, and I'm I waited and waited and waited. I didn't want to do Disney Plus. I won't get anything out of Disney Plus. Blah blah blah. And
Mandalorian.
So I got it just to watch Mandalorian.
Yep.
And in the process, learned about VPNs and that kind of thing.
There you go.
And I'm glad I did because A, I love the Mandalorian. B, there's other things on there that are interesting to me. Now, I'm not going to go watch Mulan, but there's other things in there that I'm trying to find time on my weekend to reserve 3 hours so I can watch and digest Hamilton. I'm excited about that. But if they start bringing other series on, especially Obi-Wan, especially the other one. By the way, I guess Hayden Christensen's going to be Darth Vader in that.
Imagine
Obi-Wan
my
series.
delight.
And it's only a one-season series. It's only a one-season series.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to watch. I hope it's good.
I believe a one-season series would be a mini-series, wouldn't it? More or less?
Well, normally a miniseries is like 3 or 4 episodes as opposed, it still could be 8 or 12 episodes.
Right.
So a full season, just only once. They have to start it and wrap it up by the end.
He was basically a parking meter in all 3 of those movies. That's basically what his acting amounted to. But then again, he didn't have a lot to work with in terms of story. But I mean, I guess we'll see if he gets better direction and so on. He did a film called. I think it was called Jumper, where he could like teleport to places.
And I didn't want to walk on you in case. I really enjoyed Jumper.
I avoided it completely. So, Disney Plus. So I have it for Mandalorian, and occasionally, like this weekend, I watched, Return of Skywalker. Why can't I remember the exact name of that film? Episode 9. Right. I put that on while our guests were here, just to have in the background because their kids love Star Wars so much. But that's literally the only other thing I've watched since I've gotten Disney Plus. So having other content in place will be great. Clone Wars are on there. I've seen most of that. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on there. I have no desire to watch that. I gave that 2 seasons, and I just thought, nope, this isn't going to work. So, in any case, that's a little bit about Indiana Jones 5. Are you a Raiders fan?
That's interesting.
Are you a Raiders of the Lost Ark fan?
No, I have the box set.
Okay.
Except for Crystal Skull, which I don't count.
I don't like that they renamed it.
I have the box set.
I don't like that they renamed it. They called it Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like, no.
Right.
And I get it because they had to create a franchise, but whatever. Charlie Pride, huh?
Kiss an Angel, Good Morning. Yeah, a groundbreaking
Easy,
country
Tiger.
star. And here's my rendition of Kiss an Angel, Good Morning. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it.
So, and he has a lot of other songs. None of them are coming to mind at the moment. But my parents even had Charlie Pride.
He's a clown.
Charlie Pride 8 tracks.
Yep.
So, it he was a great singer. I remember seeing him on Hee Haw.
Yep.
So he was a groundbreaker and opened up a lot of things. Obviously, there's just not a ton of African Americans in country music, but the music he sang also opened it up for a lot of other artists that maybe not would have got into country music back in the late 60s, early 70s, and throughout the 70s.
Yeah, so I am not at all familiar with his body of work. What I remember is that he was a pioneer because he was one of the first African Americans to do country, and is still one of the few African Americans to do country. The other one that comes to mind is Darius Rucker. But beyond that, I mean, the slate is pretty thin. So that he made ground in there and was popular is during an era of like Waylon and Marty Robbins and Willie Nelson and all those guys, George Jones even is pretty noteworthy. So yeah, it's a terrible loss for sure. But I just didn't know his work as well as you did. And then the other one you brought up as far as passings go was Tiny Lester, and I don't think a lot of people. Lester, yeah, he was huge. I mean, he was a big guy, but he was in more films than I think most people think, right? In terms of just being because you see him, you go, oh, he's that guy. And his most, I mean, Friday is probably his most well-known, most well-quoted. Debo. How you get fired on a Friday? But to me, he will always be the president in The Fifth Element, which is to me still one of the most brilliant casting choices ever made. So he'll always be that for me, and I very much appreciate that about that. So definitely he'll be missed because he did a lot of other roles, and I heard he was just the nicest guy. So R.I.P. Charlie, R.I.P. Tiny Lister, all y'all. Much respect.
All y'all.
All y'all. What else?
Well, Army Navy.
Let's talk about that.
Did you just do that?
I did. Yeah, there we go.
So I know this is your first foray into, last year, Army Navy.
Hardly.
Since you started working for the Army.
Since I started working for the Army.
Yes. So as I always say, I grew up eating food the Air Force put on the table with my dad. So Air Force, which by the way, Army and Air Force play next week or this weekend, and Air Force can still take the Commander Chiefs Cup, Commander's Cup, because they beat Navy pretty handily. So although Army won the big game, Army Navy, Air Force can still win the trophy. So anyway, yeah, it's since the Army has paid me for the last 15 and a half years, I always root for Army. So, as somebody else said on Facebook, you don't watch the Army-Navy game for good football. You watch it because of tradition and who you're cheering for. And this game went right along with that. It was, if you expected a lot of passing, if you expected a lot of big plays, you were bored shitless.
Passing, I mean, I've watched Army Navy since for 20 plus years, and the word passing does not exist in an Army Navy game. So I for Army Navy at least, I was kind of aligned with Navy initially because both of my stepfather and my father were in the Navy. I grew up as a Navy brat, and then I joined the Air Force, and obviously I sort of fell over to if there was an Air Force Academy game, then I'd root for that. But otherwise, I still kind of rooted for Navy. That hasn't really changed, to be fair. I mean, I understand that I work for the Army now, and I really enjoy working for the Army. Actually, it's a great experience. Really great people. But I realize more so than ever is I really just don't have a side in that game. And to be fair, I like what my friend David said. I didn't go to West Point. I didn't go to the Naval Academy, and I didn't go to the Air Force Academy. So I suppose I have a sentimentality because of the Air Force as a service, which I served, for a long time. But then, it's also, too, someone wise once said, I went to high school 30 years ago, but I'm not always talking about high school all the time either. So, I mean, it's just, you evolve, like you said. You worked for the Army for so long. You root for the Army, right? And to me, it's just a spectacle. It's interesting to watch the pomp, the circumstance, to see General McConville on the field with the president, and then to see, like, if you
wearing a mask.
I've been to 3 Army home games. One was Army Air Force, and I want to talk about that in a second. And then one was Army somebody, and then the other was Army. But it's a great setting to go see a game. It's right on the Hudson River. West Point is gorgeous, beautiful. If you get a chance, go. If you can get a tour, go. If you can get stationed there, go. If you can get an assignment there, go. It's awesome. But that said,
a friend of mine who was in MWR at Fort Sill has been there running their MWR at West Point for about 3 years now. And the pictures he shows, it's just beautiful.
It'd be a nice place to be a deputy garrison manager. Although I think that has a deputy garrison commander, I'm sure. Anyway, so let me tell you, so the game this weekend was, obviously, it was what it was. What was 3-0 until the third quarter. And then Army broke out, and they ended up winning the game 15-0. And this, at least over the past couple of years, is very much in breaking Army is winning games, which is rare because, like, through the 90s and the aughts, Army didn't win shit against Navy. Navy had a powerful running attack, and they were a great, great team. And it's important, if you don't know, and I think you know this, Keith, Army, Navy, Princeton, Yale, Harvard were basically the colleges that started college football. And so there are a lot of Heisman trophies at Army, a lot at Navy, and a lot at these universities before, like, USC came along, and then Notre Dame came along, and they still had great athletes. And then, of course, things changed and evolved, and, football is where it is today. So, and the other thing that's important to remember is, why do they play bad football? Well, they're undersized. They have more important things to do, although they might have been drafted there to play on a football scholarship. Although, can you do that? I'm not sure if you can. Maybe you can't. Maybe on an athletic scholarship. But they're definitely undersized. They don't have time to learn a passing game. That's the big thing. I remember hearing that and somebody saying there just isn't time to memorize routes and things like that when you're trying to memorize engineering equations or physics or something else to learn how to fly an airplane or, I guess, drive a tank or whatever they do there. And so that made a lot of sense to me. So I agree with you. There's still a lot of nostalgia in watching that game because I remember when they were showing the pregame run-up thing, and they were showing just clips from years and years and years. I don't think it surprised you either how much just people just look the same from the 30s to the 50s to the 70s. It's the Army, it's that beautiful gray uniform that they wear. If it's the Navy, it's that black, supposedly blue coat that they wear with the white hat and all that, and it just looks the same throughout the years. So I dig all that to death, and it's totally cool. And to actually see that game is very cool. All right, let me wrap this up. I'm talking too much again. I'm sorry, but this is important. So in I think it was 89, my friend Tracy Santee and I were asked, hey, do you guys want to go down to West Point and cover the game for us as an MWR story, right? So we said, yeah, all right, we'll do it. I'll write the story as usual, and Tracy was going to shoot the photos. So we get in his black 86 Ford Tempo, maybe something like that, and we drive these 6.5 or 7 hours from Plattsburgh, New York, down to West Point, where the military academy is located. So we get there that night, and we hear the next day, oh, it's going to rain. So Air Force Academy was playing Army. That's why we got sent from the Air Force Base. So we had our sideline passes and everything. So we got out onto the field, and in the first quarter, it was like, it was the strangest thing. So imagine just a normal gray day here, right? Like gray. And then just all of a sudden, it's as if God opened the skies, took all the water from everywhere, and just dumped it on Mikey Field, which is where the Army plays. It rained so hard that day. I mean, we could not see across the field at one point. I think the final so anyway, we were shooting photos. We were getting soaked, and I mean just drenched. So add to that, it's like one of those days last week where it's like 30-ish degrees, not freezing, but not above 40 either. So we have to get back in the car and drive back up to Plattsburgh. We don't have any changes of clothes or anywhere to change clothes or anything like that, right? So we're about 2 hours in. I think I finally stopped shaking. But Tracy says, I'm not feeling that good. I've got this sniffle. I've got something else going on. So, well, you probably just caught, a little something or your body's reacting or whatever. He's like, yeah.
COVID.
Yeah, right? We get all the way back up to Plattsburgh. And he's like, I feel miserable. I feel like I got the flu or something. I said, okay, well, hey, listen, take care of yourself. He goes to the clinic. Like 4 days later, he comes back. Or no, it was a little longer than that because I didn't see him for a while. He worked in what they called the photo lab back then, which was just where all the photographers worked. And I think it was maybe a week and a half later, he comes to me and says, yeah, I found out I have Crohn's disease. And when we were coming back, and so apparently whatever it was caused it to flare, the weather or whatever, and the conditions caused it to flare, and that's how they noticed it. So it was a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways, but he ended up getting medically discharged, and he's had Crohn's disease ever since then. And I've just been like, damn, went to an Army game and they gave you Crohn's disease. Go Air Force!
Air Force.
Not really. That's not true. He's fine, by the way. He's fine. In fact, he's one of my Facebook friends. He's fine. So just so we're clear.
You said something in there that led me directly into an Army-Navy story.
Yeah.
By the way, Connie Maurer, welcome.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
So it was 2 years ago, ESPN came to Fort Sill.
Mm-hmm.
They had been following the left tackle for the Army team through his whole senior year. And
was it Villanueva?
So they waited a whole year, and now, of course, this Army tackle, I can't think of his name.
It wasn't Villanueva from Pittsburgh, was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Now he's at Fort Sill as a lieutenant, going through field artillery training.
Yep.
So you see Gene Wojciechowski, who does a lot of their packages on ESPN Game Day.
Yeah, he's really good.
I was talking with Gene. We went to this kid's apartment. He's with another football player and another lieutenant there in Lawton. And take him out on the range with the artillery, and this guy put him in vests and helmets, and they got a real big kick out of it. But the thing is, I kept thinking, this dude was a tackle. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's about 6'2", not incredibly tall.
Right.
And this goes back to what you were saying about size and all that, and then moving on. And one of the things that, as they're setting up cameras, and then they do a part of an interview, and then they set up another, blah, blah, blah. I'm in this kid's apartment trying to stay the hell out of the way in this small apartment he shares with three other dudes, mm-hmm. including a wide receiver from Army that year. And I said, don't take this the wrong way, but you're not because I've been around pro players as well. You're not the biggest guy in the world. He said, no. He said, from the time I graduated, and this is what happens to most academy football players, whether pick your service, is from the time you graduate mm-hmm. or finish the season, I should say, mm-hmm. To the time you get to wherever you're going for your first assignment, you lose about 60 to 100 pounds.
Right.
He said he lost 63 pounds in the 9 months from football season to the end of football season. We'll call it 11 months from the end of one football year to the Army-Navy game the next year. And so, so don't get me wrong. He was 6'2". He's probably a good 200, 220.
Okay.
But he had lost, 60, 70 pounds in a year. So yeah, that's, so when he told me that, I go, okay, got it.
Mm-hmm,
got it. So mm-hmm. anyway, that's my tie-in to your story.
It's a good tie-in.
Who's talking here? So yeah, also I got to work with ESPN, and that was fun too. So
you are listening and watching this show as a JK with your pals Jason and Keith. We have talked about a great many things, including Army-Navy football. And we're almost done, except for we didn't talk about this weekend's football, and I wanted to talk about how ridiculous college football has gotten.
The Cowboys got a win over the Bengals, but college football Yeah, I know. I like I said, I have mixed feelings about that. Yay, my DNA says yay for the win, but my head says don't lose that 5th draft pick.
I'm telling you. They've got to trade up to get football Jesus from Clemson somehow, don't they? I mean, that's the move, isn't it? Or is that Bill Belichick's move? I mean, I think everybody's talking about that.
Oh, Jesus.
They've got to go get him, right?
That's hilarious. I have not heard that, but yes. If you remember,
all right,
several shows ago, I said, let's just kill the college football season.
Yes.
Ohio State did not play enough games, not their own fault, but did not play enough games based on the rules Ohio State made.
Yeah, that's the weird one right now. Yeah.
To qualify for the conference championship.
Right.
But when it comes down to money, prestige, the people that are in power at Ohio State said, oh, wait, let's change the rules.
Yeah.
So to me, that's I don't know. It smells of bullshit to me.
And then Florida was cruising to go toward LSU or Ohio State, and they got smacked by LSU. I think this is a multifaceted clusterfuck, right? This is, on the one hand, they continue to try to play games with teams that are in and out of COVID protocol, that can do a game, can't do a game. The move. How many total games was everybody supposed to play this year? Was it just supposed to be 6 or 8 or 10, or was there supposed to be a full slate?
I think it was 11.
It was a full slate.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a full slate. Yeah.
So they obviously couldn't do that. There's something on the order of 111. I'm still going to call them D1A programs. There's another 100, probably more than that, D2, and then D3 on down. And it's just been catch as catch can all season. It's like, oh, is my team playing this week? Okay. But I think the thing that really rots here, that smells of rot, is the ranking system, which you kind of alluded to I think last week, maybe the week before, was just why they even are bothering with that. Let's look at the rankings. Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter because they've all played, basically pale versions of one another, save maybe Alabama, or I guess Clemson to a degree. But a lot of these other teams are like, well, we're just going to do the best we can with what we have, except for Penn State, which apparently didn't make that declaration before the start of the season. And the what's happened is you've got this sort of mess at the end, which is still the same 10, 20, 30 teams as it always is. And I want to talk about that for a second when we're done. But the bigger point is, and so aside from we'll just play as much as we can, whoever we can from week to week, and the hypocrisy of the Ohio State thing, got it. But here's the other thing, and this is the part that really is wearing on me, is they're still going to have the same amount of bowls, which is somewhere on order of 6,111 bowls or something like that. And they've dumped all of the prerequisites. So if you went 0-11, or whatever Penn State is now, 2 and whatever, 1 and whatever, they could still be invited to a bowl because they know they're going to drag a bunch of Penn State alumni, right? Just like, and that's how bowls work anyway, right? Hey, can we get Notre Dame? Because we're going to drag 50,000 alumni down to whatever, and they're going to buy in the bars and eat foods and go to the hotels.
Right.
Got it. No problem. I understand the bowl math. I'm not against that. But it's that they still said, oh yeah, we're going to play our bowls and we're going to make bowl money, because bowl season is for TV is a huge ratings time, so that's profitable for them. It's profitable for all the cities. When you and I were children and started watching college football, I think there were, I want to say 6.
6?
Peach, orange, sugar, rose, cotton, and then 1 or 2 others. Then it became like 12, and I was like, okay, now I think it's on order of 60 or 70. It's literally like This Show is a JK Bowl sponsored by Poulan Lawn and Garden type stuff. And I think pretty sure I say that.
It takes you an hour to fill out the...
I say that jokingly, but I think Poulan actually has a bowl. One of the bowls that was always a tradition.
Can we get a bowl?
I think we can. I think we just have to like sign a piece of paper or something and give like $20.
Well, we don't have any money to give. We need a bowl to sponsor us.
The bowl in San Diego was always the Holiday Bowl. I think they did the Poinsettia Bowl there too later, but the Holiday Bowl, it always either had San Diego State. It was always a sort of what they call the Mountain West now, but it was always a Far West sort of conference game. But it usually was San Diego State because that's where San Diego State was. Anyway, again, this mishmash of sort of making kids play and all the injuries that are beset on the NFL now, hamstrings, everything else, and I think are sort of beset on college as well. It's just, I don't mind tuning in on Saturday, but I have no expectations about if somebody comes away and goes, if Alabama wins again, which they probably will, whatever. But if they come away from that and they're like, yeah, they were great this year. Yeah, but nobody else was. Nobody else gave a shit.
Yeah.
Maybe, again, Clemson, Alabama, Florida, and then it really falls off a ledge after that. I mean, I guess Ohio State, but I mean, after that, people are like, look, we're just going to play the best we can for the season. We don't want to get anybody hurt, which I totally endorse. I get it. It's not a full, but I guess the part of it too, as you alluded to your ESPN thing, is ESPN is still treating it like, it's a full-fledged season and going through the motions with that. And that's just such high holy horse shit to me. It doesn't even compute.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. Iowa State has been running through the Big 12.
Right.
But
you mean Ohio State or Iowa State? Sorry.
Iowa State.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Iowa State, Oklahoma.
They're the Hurricanes,
in the
I
Big
believe.
12 championship game. And Miami, who their quarterback played at Houston last year. So I have some issues with the red shirt rule that changed a couple of years ago as well. But
right.
The transfer rule. But when you have, and nothing against these teams, it's the kind of year it is. When you have Liberty and Coastal Carolina, who is fun to watch. I watched them beat BYU a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
When they're in the top 10, again, nothing against those teams. I love that they get a chance at it.
Coastal Carolina being in the top 10. Year. Coastal Carolina being in the top 10 is weird because they're usually like a 15 or a 16 seed in the Final Four. So, and that's what's weird too is basketball restarts again in another week. They're already playing preseason games, and I'm all for hoops. But the problem with hoops for you and I is they only play in prime time. They don't play afternoon games. So we're not, you always have to watch a replay of an NBA game. So, all right. So no bracket this week, and I apologize for that. I failed to make one. So we'll come back next week, and I'll have the bracket. And but we need to get back to the bracket / quiz modulation too. So maybe we do that, or maybe we feature both each week or something. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. But so bracket next week. You said something about Waterpik. Did you want to talk about Waterpik, or is there something wrong with your teeth?
Oh my God! So. No, I went to the dentist, and as usual, because I absolutely abhor flossing, he said, you need to floss more, and he mentioned a Waterpik.
Okay.
I thought, okay, well, I'll try that. That makes it sound.
That's what Annabelle has.
Easy.
She likes it.
So I got one that you don't plug in. It's battery operated, and you fill a little reservoir, and it lasts about 30 seconds per full reservoir. Mm-hmm. So I put the little tip on. And I didn't know what to expect. Sweet mother, oh my God. I nearly poked my eye out from the inside. I thought I was going to shear my teeth off with the water. I think I took ceramic off my bathtub across the room. I mean, I was just, and then I always forget to turn it off before I take it out of my mouth. So I shoot, and somehow I always shoot under my tongue. And that hurts. So I need to learn to corral the Waterpik. When I can corral it and aim it, I mean, that first time, I finally got it turned off. I think I hit the septum between my nostrils, and I nearly cried. And so I'm holding it above the sink. Water is dripping out of my mouth. I'm waiting to see blood in the sink, and I'm holding this thing, looking at it like I just shot off a full belt out of an M60, and going, "Oh my God, what the hell is this?" So I'm finally, after a week, finally starting to get it to where I can use it for its intended purpose instead of killing bugs in my house. So, I mean, it was scary there for a while.
This is hilarious to me because you apparently can't use a Waterpik and you can't flip a coin without hurting yourself. So we've added that to the list now. We've added that to the list.
Because I was looking up.
PJ's gone now, but he would he totally reinforced me on that one. So
nobody cares what PJ has to say. He's working right now.
All right, let's wrap it up.
You care, but I doubt it.
Let's wrap it up. You got any final thoughts? That's it.
COVID is back and in full force.
Did you want to bitch about the weather? You said something about the weather.
I need sunshine. That's why I have this.
Yeah.
As my backdrop.
It really has been.
I need sunshine.
Yeah.
Today was a beautiful day, but I was inside all day.
That was definitely something somebody should have warned you about. It's just it could be gray for weeks on end, and then like when you see the sun, you're like, oh! And then you go run toward it, and you want to jump at it and stuff, and it's a big deal. So
except it's still 38 degrees.
All right, I think I might have talked too much again, but that is the end of our show. We want to remind you to listen to the show on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play, on everywhere else, and pick us up there. The audio from this show, we're recording this on a Monday, so it should be available in about an hour, so should be no problem to get it mixed out and available to you. Video is on Facebook. We will try to get our shit together with the marketing and try to announce our new streaming location, which I think is going to be YouTube next week, just so we can get a bit more of a wider audience on that and show a lot more people Keith's beautiful face. So that will be fun. But we do appreciate you, the few of you who joined us tonight. We really appreciate that when you come along on our unannounced live broadcast on Facebook page. Join us each week right here, for our hodgepodge of topics, and we will see you again next time. Thanks, Keith. See you soon.
Take care.